Take three. Hi, my name is Mark Hughes, and I have a clothing business here in Eureka Springs where I sell clothing that I've designed and produced, patterned myself. I have a lot of help from friends who sew for me. And one of the things I do in the back room, which is my inner sanctum of the studio here, is I stand at my cutting table, I draft my patterns, and then I cut the clothing and stack it up and have it ready to go out to seamstresses who sew for me in their homes. So the production that we're doing on these face masks is kind of right up my alley, and I'd like to share with you some tips that we've learned in setting up our table to get things out to the people who are sewing the face masks for us. There's another video on YouTube that shows you how to make the face mask, but it starts at the point where you open the kit and take out the first mask and start sewing. So this is going to help you get started and be efficient at getting them cut out. We're using the design that starts with a 6x9 rectangle of fabric, and we're using just regular cotton quilt fabric that's been pre-washed so that these can be washable after they're made and not shrink. It's a 6" by 9" rectangle, and we're also adding this step to where we take a 6x9 piece of fusible lightweight interfacing and bond to the back of one of the fabrics in the mask so that it's an extra layer of protection. But also we've discovered that when it comes time to roll out the edge while these are being sewn, the interfacing is really helpful, especially after you've sewn a few of them and you start losing the grip on your fingers. So this is the piece that we're going to be cutting today. It takes 2 layers of the cotton, it takes 1 of the interfacing, and this is what the mask looks like when it's done. And to see how that goes together, watch the other tutorial. This one is about cutting. So I've been using up a lot of the scraps from my business. These are leftover pieces from some garments I make. I lay them out, and what I do is I take my rotary cutter, which is not a tool that I normally use in my business. For cutting clothing, I tend to use scissors because I'm going around curves and I pin things to a table, so I don't always have this protective mat out, but I happen to have these things. And if any of you know any quilters who have a lip edge ruler, rotary cutter, and a protective mat for your table, please tell them that this is their time to shine, and we need them at home cutting all the fabric they've been hoarding all these years like the rest of us. I'm going to make a cut here to start with just to get a good clean edge to measure. And on my table I've made a series of dots in 2 colors. There's a black dot that's every 9 inches for the 9-inch dimension, and a pink dot for every 6 inches, which shows me the 6-inch dimension. On scraps, you want to be efficient and use the least amount of fabric as you can with the least amount of waste. So I'm going to measure this, and it shows 14, which if it were 18, I'd be able to get 2 9s or 3 6s. So as it is with this scrap, it's only 14, so I'm going to cut this so that I'm cutting 6 and 6, which will give me 12 with a 2-inch scrap. A lot of math here, bear with me. So that means that this dimension I'm going to cut first is going to be the 9-inch dimension. So I'm going to come down to my 9-inch dot, and I'm going to roll, and another 9, and I'm going to throw the scrap away. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I don't want to work with the selvage or any unraveled part that happened during the washing. I'm going to stack up about, it just depends on how sharp your blade is. You can get 4 or 5 at a time if you like. At the moment, I'm just going to work with 2. I'm going to take this selvage and extend it past my pink 6-inch line so that I can cut that selvage off, because I already know that I've got 2 inches of scrap I can work with. So I'm going to make the first cut, throw the scrap under, move down to my 6-inch, move down to my 6-inch, throw this scrap away or save it for a quilter, and put these aside, and I'll get those later. These start stacking up on the table, and then they build up here. The interfacing builds up. Form yourself a little assembly line. what I normally do is I take my stack of interfacing pieces over to the iron along with the lighter weight of the stack, because it's helpful to bond these to the lighter fabric of the two you're using in order to make it more stable for sewing. And get at the iron and bond your interfacing to one side and stack them up. Come back to the table and start assembling kits. Take the one that's got the interfacing, pair it with one that you think looks good. Don't worry about what looks fashionable or what's a good combination. You can bear in mind juvenile prints for kids, whatever, but get the two put right sides together. Take your pins, put a pin in the middle, and start stacking up your kits. What I've been doing is I've been putting bundles of 25 together for people. We take a gallon-sized Ziploc bag. We take a set of 25 of the pre-pinned, ready-to-go pieces, put them in the bag. Also, we include 25 pieces of elastic, and I've been hoarding this elastic for 30 years now, so this is its time to shine. I've been working with about a 13-inch piece of elastic per mask. And just cut the 13-inch, 25 of these to match the 25 masks that you're putting in the bag. When the seamstress takes them out, they'll take one of these, they'll put the ends together, and they'll cut it in half to give them the 6.5-inch piece that they need to sew one mask. That's how we've been stacking those up. There is another pattern out there that I like. Someone mailed me this one, Hubba Hubba, and it's a good, efficient mask design. It's got this. You can download this from Pinterest or any other place. But what I've found out is that it slows down the production because you have to use a paper pattern this shape and place it on the fabric and cut around it. And that gets a little tricky and time-consuming as well as wasteful when you consider the scraps. But if you're only making a couple, this is a very good design. I prefer the 6x9 rectangle myself. And when you're ready to sew, take a look at the other video. When we get these done, when the seamstresses finish them, they bring them back to my shop and they pick up another kit of 25. We take what they've made and we bundle them individually. This is the point that we start putting on a mask and gloves. We're trying to be as sterile as we can through this whole process, but it's just impossible with so many people. So we've added a note in here, and the very first thing this note says is, before you open this bag, know these things. And the first thing we tell you is to open the bag, dump it right into the washing machine without even touching it because it's gone through so many hands. Wash it, dry it thoroughly, and then wear it. Then put it on and use it. Don't touch it, don't use it until then, because you just don't know where it's been. Take all precautions. And if you're going to bag these up, use your gloves, do what you can, include a note telling people anything you want. The text for this label can be found somewhere. My personal Facebook page at the moment, we'll try to get that out there too. But stay safe, take precautions, do what you can. If you sew, if you quilt, if you have a fabric stash, if you have a rotary cutter, do what you can, help us out, get a group of quilters mobilized in your community. And I think that's all I have to tell you at this moment. Keep calm and stitch on. Thanks for being here.